Hey guys, Nathan Graybeal here. Today I'm going to share with you a neat method that you may have never heard of before that'll enable you to generate an infinite amount of brand new lines that are still rooted in traditional jazz vocabulary. Now, I'll be totally honest here, this is more than just a trick, as it's going to take a lot of practice. But the concept is so simple yet so rewarding in the long term that anyone can understand and start the process today. Let's get into it. So the core of this practice is all centered around the short 2-5-1. A short 2-5-1 is when a 2-5 chord progression is contained in one measure, with each chord being 2 beats each, and then the one chord is usually an entire measure long. These are the kinds of measures within tunes where an aural and muscle memory of language you've absorbed become really important. For example, in the second half of the jazz standard Recordame, it's chock full of these short 2-5-1s. In measures like these, you don't really get a lot of time to improvise brand new sounds that are coming to you in the moment. These measures are just too fast and there's a lot of information passing by. These instead tend to be the measures where you show off your craft and showcase the labor of all the language that you spent drilling in the practice room. A lot of the harder tunes in jazz are where these short 2-5-1s are really abundant in multiple different keys at a fast tempo, such as Moment's Notice and Giant Steps. However, practicing a short 2-5-1 is actually pretty simple and really fun. There are so many ways to configure one, and the great jazz legends of the past have already laid out so many through their solos that thousands of jazz musicians continue to study today. We've actually just released a brand new resource here at Jazz Lesson Videos entitled 100 Short 2-5-1 Phrases, 50 in major keys and 50 in minor keys. In it, you'll find a variety of practical, nice sounding short 2-5-1 language with multiple examples from all 12 potential starting points. There's a mix of traditional jazz vocabulary from past masters like Charlie Parker and Sonny Stitt, as well as some original lines that I constructed myself. All of this is notated in all 12 keys for you, and I've included recordings of me playing all 100 of these phrases over a backing track. If you'd like to download this brand new resource, you can find the link in the description below and use the code SHORT5 for $5 off. I hope you enjoy it, as I had a lot of fun putting it together. Alright, now I'm going to share with you this neat way to maximize your short 2-5-1s to double your jazz vocabulary. I'll break down this whole process in a series of steps. The first step is to find a variety of short 2-5-1s that you really like the way they sound. Bonus points if they start on different starting points, also coined as access points. As I mentioned earlier, you'll find multiple short 2-5 vocabulary from all 12 access points. So I've handpicked 4 specific ones from that book that will serve as our guinea pigs for this video. Here's the first one that starts from the root. This one's about as simple as it gets, but very effective. We outline the chord tones of this C minor 7 chord, then voice lead down a half step to the third of the F7 chord. Then from here, we're going to stack more diatonic thirds, but move them all down an octave. This is called a pivot arpeggio. In this case, we're pivoting this A half diminished upper structure here, which is just a chord that's naturally found by stacking thirds on top of the third of the dominant chord. We'll end it off by again voice leading down to the 5th this time of the resolution chord. Nice, so there's our first test subject. Here is the second phrase. This one starts on the minor third of our 2 chord. Cool, so what do we have here? Starting on the flat third, we go up the scale, then back down, landing us on the flat 7 of F7. Now we just arpeggiate down this chord, but raise the root up a half step, giving us a flat 9 instead for a little extra spice. It also lets us smoothly voice lead with a half step interval to the 5th of our destination chord. Fantastic. Here's another phrase, but this time starting on the 5th of our 2 chord. You've probably heard this one before. It's very established jazz language. We arpeggiate down this chord's minor triad, starting on the 5th. Then on the F7 chord, we play a chromatic enclosure around the 3rd. Then we skip up with a large interval to the flat 9th and voice lead down to the 5th. Let's hear it again. Incredible. Finally, the last test subject here starts on the flat 7 of our 2 chord. We're back to all diatonic for this particular one. We start on the flat 7, skip up a chord tone, arpeggiate back down, voice lead to the 3rd of our F7, then now play the major 9th, then a diatonic enclosure around the 3rd of our resolution chord. This makes for a pleasant sound. Awesome. So once you've established a few short 2-5-1s that you really like, the next step is to master them in all 12 keys. I'm talking get them to a point where you don't even have to think at all to play them. It's going to take at least a few days, oftentimes weeks and maybe even months. Honestly, the longer you spend time on it, the better. But usually just a few days of consistent, diligent, focused repetitions should be sufficient enough to at least start the 3rd step, application. Did you know there are more places that you can fit short 2-5-1 vocabulary over than just short 2-5-1 chord progressions? For example, it's actually very common to think of a short 2-5 chord progression as instead a 1 measure long 5-7 chord. Let's take a listen to the subtle differences. Here's lick 1 over a short 2-5 chord progression. Now here's the same lick but without the 2 chord, so it just becomes a 5-1 chord progression. See, it still works. You're going to hear the sound of your 4th resolving to the 3rd within this chord, so this emphasis on the 4th can be thought of as implying a 5-7 sus sound, because we're suspending, aka delaying, the resolution of a guide tone. You'll see this sort of thing happen all the time. For example, in John Coltrane's solo over Blue Train, if you take a look at the 12th bar of his solo, it's an F7 chord, but if you hear and look at the notes he's playing, he's absolutely outlining a quick 2-5-1 in his F major. Beat 1 is a clear G minor 7 arpeggiation downwards. Beat 3 is 3-4-5-3 of a C dominant 7. And then the rest of the chord descends the F major bebop scale. And he ends it off with a well-timed enclosure around the 3rd. Pretty cool, but we're not done yet. It gets even deeper. You can also play an entire short 2-5 over a 2 minor 7 chord as well. Here's lick 1 again, this time over a measure long 2 minor 7 chord. Now this just ends up sounding like we're embracing the sound of the Dorian mode. This totally works. Okay, so this is where the magic starts to begin. Over long 2-5-1s, where both the 2 minor 7 chord and the 5 dominant 7 chord are an entire measure long each, you can take 2 different short 2-5 phrases and combine them together like puzzle pieces. So let's pick 2 different short 2-5 phrases. Here's line 1 and 3 from earlier. Let's take away their 1 chord so that all of our notes will fit within a single measure each. Now if we put them right next to each other, this will generate an extended line that totally works over a long 2-5-1. Let's hear what it sounds like. Cool, let's try lines 2 and 4. Nice, let's try 4 and 3. Isn't that convenient? Okay, finally, the grand finale magic trick. The whole reason why I even made this video. This step will only be possible if you can play your lines in all 12 keys without thinking about it. Everything we have talked about so far has led to this moment. Are you ready? after playing the first short 2/5 over your 2 minor 7 chord, you can play your next short 2/5 a tritone away or a minor third up for some awesome substitutions. This will lead to some really cool sounds. I'll explain why, but first let me demonstrate how it sounds. Here's licks 1 and 3 again, but we're gonna take lick 3 and play it a tritone up. Let's hear how it sounds. Whoa. Here's lick 3 and 2, but we're gonna play 2 up a tritone. Nice. What about 2 and 4, but 4 is up a tritone? Isn't that satisfying? This works because a dominant chord's tritone substitution has the exact same guide tones, aka the 3rd and 7th, as the original dominant chord. They're just upside down from each other. These guide tones are the glue that keeps our harmonies smoothly voice leading to each other. Everything else are just colorful, decorative, altered extensions. Now, I also mentioned earlier that you can play your short 2/5 vocabulary in one key for the first chord, and then shift the tonality up a minor third for the 5 chord. This automatically will turn your 5/7 chord into a backdoor short 2/5 substitution. A backdoor 2/5 is when you replace the 2 and 5 with instead a 4 minor 7 and a flat 7 dominant 7. You'll see this naturally in tunes like Just Friends in measures 3 through 5, and After You've Gone in measures 3 through 5. Any set of chords contained within the tonality of your home key's 4 minor sounds really nice when it resolves back into the 1 of the home key. This sound is tremendously prevalent within many jazz standards. So when we take a short 2/5 line and play it within a 2 chords measure, and then think of another short 2/5 line up a minor third for the 5/7 chord, you end up with this shortcut to outlining this 4 minor 7 to flat 7 dominant 7 to the 1 major 7 sound. This easily gives you instant access to epic backdoor 2/5 substitution lines. So let's test this out on lick 3 and then lick 4, with 4 being up a minor third. Whoa, let's try lick 4 and 1. 1's gonna be up a minor third. Wow, let's try lick 2 and 3, with 3's gonna be up a minor third. The possibilities are endless. And guess what? That's just with 4 licks. Our new resource has 100 short 2/5 phrases. You're going to be a language machine. AI could never and will never touch us. Alright, well, I hope you all found this enlightening, because I sure did when I first learned this. Again, if you download the new resource, 100 short 2/5 phrases, don't forget to use the code SHORT5 for $5 off. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, please leave a like and subscribe below, as it helps this channel grow, as well as comment what else you'd like to see from us in the future. I'll see you all next time.